What contracts do you need to achieve exclusivity? I'll kick this one off. Just agreed exclusivity on something this week, so probably quite poignant. I think if you're out there as well, with enough leads coming in the top of your funnel and you've got that process, then you should be negotiating exclusivities, fairly rapidly. It's not just a contractual thing here. Exclusivity is more of a psychological connection rather than kind of that kind of legal element where if things go pear-shaped, you're gonna try and recoup some of your losses by going through the courts or anything like that. It's purely, the way I see it, is it's a connection thing between you and the vendor. Now, obviously, most vendors don't really know you from Adam, so you need to take time to build that rapport, and often they want assurances like some form of contract, some form of paperwork in place, and that's the key. It's about listening to what they want. There's various ways that you can tie up exclusivity or lockout or whatever you want to call it, and that can range from a simple handshake all the way up to a 40-page dot the I's, cross the T's, legal jargon contract, that you have to get drawn up by a solicitor. But you know what? It might cost you £1,000 or something, or whatever it may be. But actually, if the opportunity is good enough, then you might be prepared to risk that kind of money. The most simple way that I bar a handshake that I do is either a simple templated 2 or 3 page agreement, which there's some kicking about all over the place really. We use one, we've altered it accordingly to make it sort of more development related, or a simple letter, headed templated letter detailing, kind of like a heads of terms really, detailing what you're going to do over what time period, and get people to sign it. I think that's one of the important things as well for creating a good connection is getting people to actually agree to it in writing, so reply via email or something like that, or actually getting them to physically sign something. So I sent something out this week. I'm just using one of the online documents signing sort of software and all that kind of thing. There's some free stuff out there. I think I use HelloSign or something like that, and send it out there and get them to sign it and send it back. Sort of thing, and you get notified when they have. So then you've got a rubber stamp sort of time period of when the exclusivity period starts, and ultimately when it'll come to the finish.
Yeah, there are some exceptions to that, and that relates to who the vendor is, who the vendors are. So if it's a business organisation, depending on who they are, you probably will want a legal agreement to protect yourself. So currently I'm working with somebody. We're looking at about 4 acres, something like that, and there is some planning on it at the moment, but it's not the right planning for what we would want to be doing on it. So the people that own it potentially offering a 12-month exclusivity, but they want a fee for that, and our answer to that, Bryn, is
nope.
But we've got. They are a developer. They've got quite a sort of reasonable medium-sized developer. So I don't think it's going to go anywhere because they're very, very difficult to deal with, and lots of businesses and organisations are. Because you're not actually dealing with a person that can make the decision ultimately, so it's very difficult. We always like to get to the vendor and anybody that's got an interest in the land, any sort of beneficial interests, etc., and that's our preference. So we possibly will find sites, or we find sites, and then we see who owns them, and we probably won't go anywhere near them because it's just not worth the effort. But it's very much, there are some. We've got one at the moment, you've got one at the moment, which is with £1 billion a year turnover, which we were surprised at how that's going quite smoothly at the moment. But you are with the person that can actually make the decision, aren't you? So
I think that's the key thing, isn't it? If you're dealing with an organisation, it's about getting to the decision maker. So if you don't know who that decision maker is within the organisation, and you've got some details from Companies House or whatever it may be, and there's various directors or people registered on there, then send letters to all of them. Obviously, if there's hundreds or whatever, then try and pick out, try and be a bit more strategic with it. But actually, the more people that you try and get in contact with, to put you in contact with the decision maker, the person that's got the jurisdiction to sort of have conversations to make decisions, then that's the best way to go. But I think just going back to what you're saying about paying for exclusivity, to be honest, that one of the most difficult yet liberating things that you can do is walk away at any stage of a deal. Even if it's just in early negotiations, you're trying to negotiate exclusivity and somebody wants you to pay a couple of grand just so you can take it off market temporarily or stop other people looking at it for 8 weeks, then you either haven't explained your processes well enough yet, you haven't built the relationship and the rapport well enough yet, or the vendors aren't going to be the people to deal with, because that's ultimately what it comes down to. The deal might be a cracking deal, but if you can't actually deal with the people that are involved in it, then go and find another one, because another cracking deal will be around the corner at some point. You're better off doing a good deal with a cracking vendor than a cracking deal with a less so favourable vendor. But yeah, so if anybody asks you, just sort of you got to explain to them that actually my time commitment and my financial commitment is doing the appraisal, and appraisal takes quite a lot of time, doesn't it, Steve? So
it can do, but I think the key thing from that, both lots of points there, is that it comes down to the relationship, because ultimately, even if you got exclusivity for 6 weeks and then you find out that someone else has got exclusivity, you're not necessarily going to waste any time or any more money trying to chase to sort out the exclusivity. It's just not worth it. So I think it's key. The key thing is the relationship, and say with the right person, hopefully you build the rapport that everyone trusts each other. But obviously in development, it's not always the case.
Yeah, so a couple of examples that sort of help make the point. Probably we've got a development partner where we had exclusivity on 26 acres of land, and that exclusivity ran out, but we continued to go forward because we've made a good connection with the family that are selling it, and we didn't want to revisit, it's run out, can we sign it again, because they're very much word is bond and all that sort of stuff, and we're now moving forward on that. We haven't got a piece of paper, but we had a handshake which was initially for however many weeks it was, which ran out weeks and weeks ago, but it doesn't matter. We made that relationship, which is really good. And another one that Steve's actually, in fact, it might have even been today, I can't remember, I think it was today, we had a call, or possibly yesterday, with somebody else we're working on who had exclusivity on some land, 5-6 weeks exclusivity negotiated last week. So Steve's done the appraisal, and after 2-3 days, it's clearly isn't a deal, is it? So
No.
So it's really going now back, and rather than wait the 5 weeks, going straight back to the vendor potentially. And what we tend to do is quite transparent with any information we've found out. Obviously, we're not completely stupid commercially. There are some things that you don't tell people. However, you give them the headline stuff, and when the news is delivered to the people that own this site, they are not going to be happy, and they're probably not going to believe what we say. But we'll point them in the direction of actually where that information is available from a third party at no cost, and that they can do whatever they like with it then, and so don't always use up the exclusivity, but keep them updated going through. It's really, really important, and I think you've had a couple like that as well, Brian, haven't you?
yeah, your relationship builds over time. The more time you spend, the more value you can add to people, the more that they will know you, start to like you, start to trust you a bit more, and in some cases that could be a case of pushing them away. I've certainly done it. I've been negotiating on, as we all generally do on deals for 9 months, 12 months since you first sort of do it and negotiate the exclusivity. But actually you get to a point where you do your exclusivity, you do your appraisal, you get your numbers, you chuck it back to them, they don't particularly like it, so you say, okay, well, thanks very much. Feel free to use the research that we that we gleaned over the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or whatever. Best of luck with it, sort of thing, and then ultimately keep in touch with them, keep tabs on it, and they'll come back to you more often than not.
I think you've got a boomerang at the moment, and you come back again for the third time or something. Was it last week or this week?
Probably fourth or fifth time. Yeah.
And every time they come back, they're getting told the same message, because it's what it is. You know, we're not trying to do them down or anything. We want to try and give them the best price we can, but they still want more than the best price. But they're finding it very difficult to come to terms with that, because ultimately it's less than what they paid for it, and they were in it for some sort of planning uplift or whatever, weren't they?
Yeah.
So you know, but I expect that'll keep coming back, unless they find somebody that probably isn't as experienced as us to take it off their hands. You know, it's just not worth what they want for it, and that's unfortunate, you know. But you know, got to sort of say they were naive enough to buy it in the first place.